Hi, welcome to the Postmodern family. I'm Felipe.
I'm Lillian.
And we are Americans living in the United Kingdom, living crazy lives.
That's right. We're traditional in a modern world.
In this episode, we're going to each share 3 things we love about Jacob Rees-Mogg.
If you haven't seen our channel before, we are Americans living in the UK, so hit that subscribe button now and give us a like if you like this video. There you go.
There are times when a nation needs a hero, an icon on whom we can all depend.
I've heard people say...
Now might not be one of those times, but there seems to be loads of people at the moment who just really love Jacob Rees-Mogg.
So in no particular order, the first thing that pops into my head as far as why I love Jacob Rees-Mogg is that he has such a detailed understanding of the issues. That is to say, when it comes to whether it be Brexit or a particular bill, he's done his homework, he's been in the office or at home reading every bit of information that is necessary, and he has an incredible command of the smallest of details.
Tariffs set at the European level make food, clothing and footwear more expensive. They are the highest proportion of the poorest in society's expenditure. If we can get rid of those tariffs, we help the worst off in society. That is a real benefit.
It's very unlike any politician in the US. In the US, they have a bunch of lackeys that write the bills, that understand the bills, but the senators and congressmen themselves know very little.
Technical recession is 2/4 of GDP declining. He said that. He was completely wrong. The Treasury was worse. It said there would be between 500,000 and 800,000 jobs lost purely on a vote to leave, not actually anything happening,
and
just
the
on the
BBC?
vote.
In fact, they'll say, in order for us to understand what's in the bill, we must first pass the bill.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
That's really an insult to the American voter. So Jacob Rees-Mogg really comes to an understanding that is really deep and significant.
One thing that I love about Jacob Rees-Mogg is the way he dresses. He always looks perfectly dressed for the occasion. 18th century look. That fits him, which a lot of people would say would be a negative about him. But what style is that suit?
I don't know, late Victorian, maybe?
Yes, it looks really nice. And then also his everyday kind of wear where he wears like a tan blazer or like a sweater. I feel like he positions himself in a way that is relatable, but always appropriate for the occasion.
The second reason that I love Jacob Rees-Mogg is his rhetoric. By that I mean the way he expresses himself, both the winsome manner in which he does it and also the high level of thought and penetrating insight that he gives when he speaks.
Because all the Treasury forecasts assume that instead of cutting tariffs on the rest of the world, we raise tariffs against the EU. That is completely insane.
Jacob Rees-Mogg actually listens to the question that's being asked, and when he responds in a thoughtful manner that exhibits that he's thought about the issue and that he has an understanding of the deepest aspects of the issues.
You said at the start of your speech, the EU funded CBI.
Yes.
Why did you say that?
Because it gets money from the EU for surveys that it carries out for them.
It's true. You get less than 1%. 1% comes from the EU.
They get money from the EU. It's what I've said's correct.
How much money? It's less than 1%.
It's part of their funding.
The funding is research. It's for research. It's ring-fenced.
Great.
0.6%.
So thank you. So you've proved the point that the CBI gets money from the EU.
Yeah. Would you call EU-funded CBI?
That's what I said, and I said again.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very grateful that you've made it clear to all the listeners on LBC that the CBI is funded by the EU.
In the middle of our really important Jacob Rees-Mogg episode, this happened.
What is that?
It's poo-poo! Eee! We gotta change him. The second thing I love about Jacob Rees-Mogg is his posh accent.
But he did express a view on Brexit. That seemed to me to politicise the Bank of England and to besmirch its reputation.
I find it so peculiar but really nice to listen to. And it gives him an air of sophistication, a sense of authority, and it just sounds really pleasant.
The third and last reason why I love Jacob Rees-Mogg are the values he upholds. He has called himself a loyal subject to Her Majesty the Queen. For that to come out of the lips of a Catholic is very substantial. There's a long history of acrimony between Catholics and Protestants. For a long time, Catholics weren't allowed to vote. They didn't participate in government. Before that, they were even hung or executed. So that he could be Catholic and consider himself a loyal subject to the Queen is very impressive. That's a great value. In fact, I think maybe the monarchy ought to assert its power a little bit more these days. But that's for another episode.
I'm very happy to be challenged on my views and to be a loyal son of the Catholic Church, a loyal Conservative, and a loyal subject of Her Majesty.
And now to have MPs and potentially the first ever Catholic Prime Minister is quite a dramatic turn of events. And as I mentioned, his commitment to the Catholic Church and its associated values vis-a-vis the family, marriage, and abortion, and those we are quite passionate about. So there are three values that we talked about. There's his commitment to the Queen, his commitment to the Church, and lastly, most importantly, his commitment to the people and his constituency. And he has shown in many occasions that he loves his people and works desperately hard for them.
So we've got to talk about politics. So you've got to say what you think about UKIP.
I think they're completely nuts.
Well done. I've come to Rochester to help the Conservative candidate in the by-election, to do a bit of delivering and campaigning. I'm a great lover of by-elections and have been to most but not all since 1986.
I think Felipe's third reason for loving Jacob Rees-Mogg is really one of my favorite things about him is that he stands for his beliefs and he doesn't back down. He's not ashamed of them. His faith is very important to him, and that contributes to his stance on abortion.
Are you completely opposed to abortion in all circumstances?
Yes, I am.
Rape and incest?
Sexual
I'm
violence?
afraid so.
Really?
Life is sacrosanct and begins at the point of conception.
Secondary to that, I think that his view of the family is really impressive, especially since he's growing such a large family himself.
So he practices what he preaches?
Yeah, I like that he's not... I feel like a lot of people these days are ashamed when they have large families, and he's not ashamed of it at all, and he knows that it's a blessing.
So for me, that's the third and really most impressive reason why I love and hope that he will be the next Prime Minister, none other than Jacob Rees-Mogg.
The third thing that I love about Jacob Rees-Mogg is his humor.
All recessions have so far been temporary in the whole of history.
Well, that depends on the time scale.
A technical...
I find that his job is a very important job and can be very serious at times, but he is still able to bring a lighthearted sense to it, and it also makes him more relatable to his constituents.
And I'm not entirely free from controversy from time to time, but has a reputation for being a moderniser. This is a word I use with some caution.
He's willing to be interviewed by people like Ali G.
Wicked. I is here with Lord Rees-Mogg, and we is talking about class.
And other news channels, and they'll ask him kind of basic kind of questions and test if he's in touch with the people.
Do you hark back to the days of Downton Abbey then?
Downton Abbey is jolly good fun, but whether anybody really lived like that, I think, is open to debate.
And because he has a sense of humor, he's able to come across really well, especially with the working class. People really like him.
Just as a quick aside in relation to humor, if you want to go into YouTube and search Jordan Peterson humor, and you'll be quite enlightened to come to learn that actually humor is most commonly found in men, less so in women. And the reason for that is that humor is used to court women. He argues quite persuasively that men have developed humor as a means towards impressing and courting women. So those were my three reasons why I love Jacob Rees-Mogg. Number one, his studiousness of the issues. Number two, his oratory. And number three, his values. What were your three?
My three were the way he dresses, the way he talks, and his sense of humor.
And if you agree with those 6 reasons we've listed, put them in the comments. If you disagree vehemently, if you dislike him with a passion, put that in the comments. Otherwise, subscribe. So, today's episode is brought to you in part by the Conservative Party.
What am I saying?
I don't know.
This is what happens.
Her Majesty or His Majesty?
Her Majesty.